get yourself a drink and be ready to experience top 10 best fragrance designer releases 2020. Stay tuned after this intro. What is going on, guys, and welcome again to another video. In today's video, I have a great video for you guys today, which is top 10 best designer fragrance releases in 2020. 2020, as a matter of fact, was a flop. Not a lot of great fragrances came out this year. You know what's going on this year. So everybody is forgiven to not actually come out and launch great stuff. But at the same time, there's actually some great designer stuff that actually came out this year. I loved this 10 fragrances that I'm about to show you guys, and I kid you not, at the most part, this is the best when it comes to designer fragrances in 2020. Everybody's opinion is different, but in my honest opinion of what I do, this is the best when it comes to designer releases 2020, okay? But before I start showing you my list, please don't forget to give me a like for encouragement. My goal for this video is 300 likes. So give me a like, give me a like, give me a like, give me a like. And also don't forget to give me a big subscribe and click that red subscribe button down below and click that notification bell right next to it to not miss any of this guy in the future. And also don't forget to click on my Instagram page down below and follow me there. My Instagram is popping and it's happening, and you need to follow me on my Instagram page as well. With that being said, let's just proceed with my list to not make this video any longer, okay? And my top 10 on this list, it is Ferragamo by Salvatore Ferragamo. I did a video on this fragrance in the beginning of this year when it first came out. I was one of the first few people that actually did a video on it, and I actually loved this scent, okay? You have to love violet leaves to really appreciate the Ferragamo by Salvatore Ferragamo, because this is a violet leaf bomb, and I personally love violet leaves in fragrances. So Ferragamo, automatically it was a instant love for me, and I need to get myself a bottle of this, especially that you can get it nowadays really cheap online. So this is on my to buy list very soon, probably and hopefully beginning of 2021. Salvatore Ferragamo, it needs to be on my to buy list. It needs to be in my collection for sure. I love the violet leaves here, and especially for being a very fresh, kind of like boring scent. This one is a little different. It's definitely sweet, so it's current with that current sweetness nowadays. Extremely fresh, so if you are into fresh fragrances, you would love Ferragamo. Plus the violet leaves background that this one has. So Ferragamo for me was definitely one of the best releases this year, and it is on my number 10 spot. My number 9 spot is from the house of Tom Ford, and yes, it is from the house of Tom Ford, and I love Tom Ford, but this one actually, it's not my cup of tea, even though I really love this scent. That's why it is on my number 9 spot. And I'm talking about Beau de Jour by Tom Ford. This is kind of like a barber shop type of a scent through and through. If you're not into kind of like old schoolish type of barbershop type of scents, this one is not gonna be for you at all. You have to really enjoy this type of smells to really enjoy it, and this type of smells is not my cup of tea, okay? But this one is really well done, and it can smell quality in it. That's why I enjoy it, and it is on my to buy list as well. But it's not actually like on my to buy list at this very moment. I'm just gonna wait until I find it at a very good price, and then when I find it at a good price, I'm definitely gonna buy Beau de Jour by Tom Ford. This one is great. It resembles a lot Zeno by Davidoff. Zeno's $20. The Beau de Jour, that cheapest you can find, it's around like what, 80, 90, $100 discounted, or from somebody like second hands or so. So it's definitely much more expensive than Zeno, and they smell very alike, okay? But for me personally, I love Beau de Jour over Zeno. Zeno I don't like as much. I find it to be very dated, and it's not my cup of tea, okay? But Tom Ford, or maybe just the name of Tom Ford sparkles me, okay? So that's why Tom Ford Beau de Jour is on my to buy list, and it's a great one. Comparing between this and Zeno, Tom Ford definitely wins and worth that much money in my honest opinion, okay? My number 8 on my list is a fragrance that actually came in the 80s, and now they just have the Parfum version just came out recently, okay? And when this fragrance came out, as a matter of fact, it was either love for a lot of people or hate for a lot of other people, and I can totally see both points, especially after I experienced it myself. I was okay. This is definitely still old schoolish with the the sandalwood and the boozy nuances and the spiciness. Definitely old schoolish, and I'm talking about Pasha de Cartier, the Parfum version. Okay, this is the 2020 release, but at the same time, they have some current sweetness, that's whatever sweetness they add on every pretty much single designer fragrance nowadays, okay, just to make it current, to make it trendy, okay? So they added that into the Pasha de Cartier, and a lot of people that actually love the old version of Pasha de Cartier, very boozy, very spicy, very woodsy, they just didn't like the fact that they just tried to modernize it in a way, okay? I was kind of like in between. I really liked the old version of it at first, but then when I got used to the Parfum version, I was like, okay, now I kind of like see their point. So I kind of like them both in a way, but if I have to choose one over the other, I'll choose the original 80s one, but at the same time, the new version of it is not bad at all. I like it. I'll buy yet as well when it gets like really discounted at a very affordable good price, but I'm not gonna pay retail for it. And the reason why I didn't buy it until this moment, even though I liked the smell of it, just because the performance on my skin wasn't the bestest, okay? It stays a little closer to my skin, and it gives me like around 6 hours or so, which is not bad in my honest opinion. 6 hours is good enough for me, but I just didn't like the fact that it just stayed closer to my skin. But at a discount, like for $50, $60, $70 or so, I'll get myself a bottle because it's worthy to own in my collection. I really think my number 7 on my list was the most anticipated fragrance release this year. A lot of people were waiting for this one just because they love the original or the Eau de Parfum, but when they come out with the Eau de Parfum Intense, a lot of people changed their mind, okay? I know personally a lot of guys, they actually went and blind bought the one Eau de Parfum Intense by Dolce & Gabbana, and they kind of regret it, okay? They just anticipated something great like the Eau de Parfum version, and this one was something totally different, okay? I really like the Eau de Parfum Intense. I find it to be a more darker, much maturer version of the original or the Eau de Parfum version. The Eau de Parfum, in my honest opinion, is still the best when it comes to the one in general by Dolce & Gabbana, but this one also is pretty good, okay? I really do enjoy the one EDP Intense. I find it to be sexy, okay? Darker but sexy, but a little maturer. It's something that you need to experience on your own, okay? I'm not gonna tell you this is sexy. I'm not gonna tell you this is good, this is bad. This is something, especially for this fragrance right here, that you need to experience on your skin. And either you would love it, I love it, okay? Or either you would hate it, okay? But the reason why a lot of people actually hate this fragrance, because they actually compare it to the one Eau de Parfum. If you compare the EDP Intense to the Eau de Parfum wins to everybody pretty much. The Eau de Parfum is one of a kind. It's one of the best releases like ever made, seriously guys. But this one is good on its own. You have to really like darker, spicier fragrances to really enjoy this one, and I still find this one to be very sexy, okay? It's riskier but sexy. My number 6 on my list is another one from the house of Dolce & Gabbana. As a matter of fact, Dolce & Gabbana, they came out with a couple of good releases this year that not a lot of people like, but I love, okay? I'm that weird, okay? And the next one I have on this list on my number 6 is Dolce & Gabbana K Eau de Parfum. K Eau de Toilette, when it first came out a while back, a couple of years back, I wasn't the biggest fan of. It was okay for me. It was just boring, fresh, very pleasing scent, but nothing more and nothing less. But when they came out with K Eau de Parfum, it's definitely much stronger. It's definitely darker. It's kind of like the one Eau de Parfum Intense in a way, okay? They kind of like got some similarities in a way. They both spicy, woodsy, darker with the patchouli, and they smell great, okay? I'm not saying they smell alike, but they're just taking that darker, sexier vibe they both have, okay? But they smell nothing alike. K Eau de Parfum, it's an amazing release, and this is definitely on my to buy list early this year for sure. I loved it, okay? And it is on my number 6. My number 5 on my list, I would call it more of an indie type of a scent, or maybe niche in a way, but they got some great designer pricing for that. That's why I added on this list, and I'm talking about Gravitas by Norton and Wilson. This fragrance made by Mr. Smelly, the YouTuber. I really loved this scent, guys, and I'm telling you, I'm not a big fan of barbershop type of scents, but this one is really great. Lavender here is good, vanilla here is good. It's very classy, very sophisticated. It's not old schoolish, it's not dated at all. I feel like this is very current and very pleasing to the masses, okay? I love this one. This is, ever since I got this one, was one of my most worn scents. Ever since Mr. Smelly, as a matter of fact, sent it to me for free. But all opinions are mine. I just love this one. This is something that I really highly encourage you guys to try out, especially if you are into barbershop type of scents. And performance is great too. And it is on my number 5. My number 4 on my list, it was a big win for me personally. It wasn't the case for a lot of you guys out there, especially that this is a flanker of a flanker. And I'm talking about Spicebomb Night Vision, the Eau de Parfum version. The Eau de Toilette, when it first came out like last year, a lot of people hated, and I was one of them. I was like, it was blah, nothing special. But when they came out with the Eau de Parfum version by Spicebomb Night Vision, it was great. It was definitely on the greener side. It was definitely nutty. It was definitely current with the current sweetness. All designer fragrances nowadays, they just add the same sweetness over and over again, and I'm okay with that, because that sweetness, as a matter of fact, it's very pleasing. It's kind of like bubble gummy in a way, and this one is not overly sweet, because there's a lot of nuttiness coming of the nuts in this fragrance, and also the incense. So for me personally, I find it to be a very green, nutty, sweet incense type of a scent, and it smells gorgeous. Longevity is great, performance is great in general, and it pushes out of my skin pretty well, and it is on my to buy list for sure. Night Vision Eau de Parfum, it's like on my number 4, like hands down. It could even be even higher on this list, but the 3 fragrances above it, they're really like gold in my honest opinion, and I love it a little bit more than Night Vision Eau de Parfum in my honest opinion. My number 3 on my list, it's a flanker of a flanker that came out last year. And the first flanker that came out last year, I barely just got myself a bottle after the longest wait, and I'm talking about Armani Code Absolu. But the fragrance that came out this year is the flanker of this one, which is Armani Code Absolu Gold. This is a limited edition. That's why it's kind of like hard to find in a way at a good price, unlike this one that you can find at a very reasonable price, like secondhand or like on a discounter side in a way. But Absolute Gold is fantastic, okay? It's definitely classier than this one. It's a little bit like not rough around the edges like this one does. This one is definitely more outgoing, definitely stronger. But the Absolute Gold is definitely the perfect date scent in my honest opinion. It just got that effortless, sexy vibe without trying too hard. That's what I really love about Absolute Gold. I find it to be a great scent. The first time I've smelled it, I was like, this is the one for me. It is not actually on my to buy list as of at this very moment, but if I could find myself a bottle next year at a very reasonable price, I'll get myself one. And the reason why it's not on my to buy list at this very second, just because it smells very similar to this one right here. But this one is definitely much stronger. So, and I love strong fragrances. So this one definitely, if you just want to go out at night, this is definitely a night out scent. Absolute Gold is definitely more like a date scent. It could be like a night out scent as well, but it's the fact that it's not as strong as this one, especially when it comes to projection. That is why I find it to be more like a date scent type of thing, which is great. But I can actually use this one as well, but not spray as much and make this one as a date scent. So that's why I kind of like, even though I love the smell of Absolute Gold, but I find it to be a little bit redundant just to own both. Unless again, I find it at a good price, then I'll just pull the trigger, okay? My number 2 on my list is actually one of my most worn fragrances this year, and I'm talking about Acqua di Gio Profondo. I just love this scent, guys. This is kind of like a blend between Acqua di Gio, the original, with Jour Sauvage. This is definitely a beast mode. It lasts forever and gets you tons of compliments. This is one of my most complimented scents this year, one of my most worn scents this year. Probably I'm just gonna do a most worn video as well, so stay tuned for that video. But this one definitely is gonna be on that video if I decided to do one. And Acqua di Gio Profondo is such a great one. I used to love Profumo a lot. I still love Profumo, don't get me wrong. I love Absolute Instinct, which is a great one as well, but this one, I feel like this one could be my favorite as of right now, alongside with the Absolute Instinct and Profumo. Those trio are great. Those trio, I highly recommend to own all of them. Seriously guys, this is my number 2 for a reason, and I love it, okay? And my number 1 on my list, the fragrance that I really fell in love with ever since I smelled it. I smelled it once actually, and I was like, okay, I need a bottle. I'm just waiting until this fragrance actually gets discounted a little bit and just becomes very reasonably priced, so I can pull the trigger and get myself a bottle. But I'm talking about Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Extrême. This is a beautiful one, guys. This is actually the perfect scent for me. I love plum in fragrances. I love almonds in fragrances, and this is a perfect almond and plum fragrance, okay? These two notes right here, one of my favorite notes, and they combine and blend these two notes together to perfection to make it a little bit nutty, creamy, with some sweetness coming out of the plum that is not too sweet. And this is the fragrance pretty much. It's very creamy, very dreamy, and it smells beautiful, okay? One of the best smelling designer fragrances that I smelled this year for sure, and I fell in love with this one, like, for sure. L'Homme Idéal Extrême is definitely my number 1 best release of 2020, and I highly encourage you guys to try this one out because this one is phenomenal, okay? So this is it, guys, with my top 10 best designer fragrances in 2020. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of my list? Do you agree with my list? Did I forget any great designer releases this year? Please let me know in the comment section down below. I probably did. There's way too many great designer releases that came out, but I haven't smelled everything, and I'm talking about the fragrances that I have actually experienced on my own, okay? So this is it, guys. Please, if you enjoyed this video, give me a big like. My goal for this video is 300 likes. Also click that subscribe button and the notification bell right next to it, and follow my sweet Instagram. And please let me know again in the comment section down below, what are the best designer fragrances that came out this year, or the best releases in general that came out this year. I want everybody to comment in the section down below. And this is it, guys. I know sponge making smelling good always easy. Peace.